Hey there, out fishing in Idaho today. The river's coming up, spring runoff, and fishing slow, so I thought I'd show off my truck camper. This is a 4-season, so I can use it in the winter months truck camper to get me out into the wilderness more often, so I don't have to set up a tent, and I can sleep in comfort, and it's even heated. That's why 4-season. I have a propane heater in there, and I'll go over all that. This is kind of an overview of why I built it and the features of this camper and the topper, how I made those decisions, and we can go into more if you want to in another video. Just let me know. Okay, well, I usually talk too much in this, but I'm going to give you kind of the inspiration or the purpose, the goal for designing this truck. What I like to do is to get close to my destination for my adventures the night before. I like camping as much as the next guy, but I like to camp for a purpose. If I'm going to drive an hour to a destination, I'd rather sleep in my bed and get up an hour earlier and then drive to the destination. I don't want to just camp for the sake of camping. I'd rather camp at a mountain lake, somewhere I'd backpack into. That's fun to me. Setting up a tent, getting rained on in the middle of the night, trying to deal with sleeping bags and the dirt and the grime and how cold it can be, doesn't interest me for the sake of doing it. I've done enough. So this is a mobile mini hotel room for me. That is my purpose. That's its explicit purpose, and it works well for that goal. I will still bring my camping stuff, but now, instead of driving 2 hours to get to the trailhead in the morning and waking up super early so I can go catch sunrise for photography, now I can stay in this at night, drive the night before, wake up at my destination at the trailhead, and save myself some time without having to wrestle a sleeping bag. Also, I live in Montana. I'm actually in Idaho right now. I travel around a lot. Photography, fishing, hiking, hunting, whatever. And it's nice to have the assurance that you have a place to stay. If you ever get on one of these mountain passes and it's closed or is snowed in or just a blizzard blows in and it's not safe to go anywhere, it's nice to have a warm place. So I just keep my propane tank filled up for the heater, and I'm ready to go. So if something happens, I blow a tire out in the middle of nowhere, I'm not going to freeze to death. In fact, I'm going to sleep better than most people would at a cheap hotel. It's clean, it's warm, it's private, and it's free now that I built it. That's my purpose. So keep that in mind as you look at this build. Okay, the first thing you will notice about this truck camper, other than my dirty truck, is that it's not the same color. That is because I bought it used off a gentleman. So this is a 2016 Chevy Silverado, and this is an ARE topper. It's one of their high-end toppers. I bought it used because these things are stupid expensive new. I think this thing was close to $3 grand brand new, and I got it off a guy for $1,800. Things I was specifically looking for were windows that open up all around and also have a sliding glass window on it so that I can ventilate this. And of course I can't open it from this angle, but I can open this and still have a screen. So if I want to sleep outside whenever there's bugs in the summer, or if I just want some breeze through there, I don't have to open the window and let bugs get in. And I can open that from the inside. But more importantly, I can open these from the outside so I can clean it really well, both in and out. And I don't have to climb in and come all the way up here to access all my stuff. I can just do it from outside the truck. Another important feature is that this window also folds down. So notice it's dirty in there, and it's very difficult to clean between this window and the back of the truck. There's no way to get in between the truck and my capper because I don't have a window that opens in the back of the truck, which would make this very difficult to clean if this didn't fold down. So I'll show you that real quick. Okay, now we're inside here, and this window folds down super easy, folds inwards, and now I can clean here and I can clean there. There's also a hatch that I can open this window up, but no way to get inside the truck, so that's neither here nor there. But that was very important to me that I have that feature so I can make sure that I can see safely out of the back of the truck when I'm driving. Another note is that it is carpeted on the inside. You can do it yourself. This one came that way, thank goodness, so I didn't have to wrestle that. But it's carpeted all the way across, and that deadens a lot of noise in here. One, it adds a tiny little bit of insulation, but more importantly, it keeps it quiet in here. Now I have noticed that some of this carpet's maybe pulling away just a little bit. I got it for 1,800 bucks, so I'm not going to complain, but all those things can be touched up if you want. Another thing this capper came with, like all toppers, they come with little clamps to hold it onto the bed rails. I replaced those clamps. I actually drilled through the bed rail in 4 places with big fender washers and bolted it down so I don't have that big clamp sticking out. You know, you don't have to do that if you don't want to drill through the bed, but 4 holes seemed worth it to me. So those are the only holes I drilled in the truck bed to get the capper on, or the topper on. Now in the topper, you'll notice that I have brackets up here for the rails on top. Back out to the truck, didn't have any type of roof rack on it whenever I bought it. I bought these on a discount sale rack from REI. I got these mounts from Amazon and bolted them on there myself. These are very sturdy. I can carry my raft up there and drive highway speeds no problem. And on the front of the truck I got these Thule clamp on roof racks, so I don't have to modify the actual truck itself because I'm unwilling to drill into that. So that gives me roof storage if I want it, which kind of gets back some of the space that I lost, because now this is obviously a lot less bed storage space, and you certainly don't want to take this on and off all the time, especially when you have it sealed up, which I guess I should talk about now as well. So this thing is sealed very well to the truck bed. I sealed it in numerous ways. In fact, if you look at the top or the front of it, you can even see some of the foam that I used to seal it right there. I'd be happy to explain how I sealed it and show some photos if people are interested. I think it's sealed very well. It's been sitting out all winter and I haven't been camping in a whole lot. I did notice a couple things just now. I noticed that that's a little bit rusty up there, so I need to seal the holes through the top of the topper for the roof rack a little bit better. And that may explain why some of that carpet over there is peeling, so that's unfortunate. Didn't do a good job on that, but around the rest of the truck, all around the rails, this is sealed very well. No water gets in that way, or very, very little at least. I can't detect it. And then around the bed, I have seals to seal the bed up. Along the bottom, along the top, I replaced the seal on the ARE topper. Happy to explain any of that if people are interested. I don't know if they are, but I have seals all over this place. So whenever it's tightened up, I can drive highway speeds in pouring rain and snow. Nothing gets in there. Obviously there's a little bit of dirt and dust in here around the edges. I need to redo my seals, but notice it's only going back, I don't know, what is that, 3 or 4 inches, and the wood's still in good shape. So everything stays dry in there. I've stayed in this while it was absolutely pouring rain and snow in crazy winds, and I stay dry and comfortable. Okay, so that's enough about the truck setup. Talking about the actual camper build in here itself, all of this is built out of plywood. So this is sanded face plywood. It's been stained. I built it myself, designed it, installed it. These things are installed super sturdy. There are no fasteners through the truck, but you cannot move it. They do not rattle. There is carpet on the bottom of these wooden sections to keep it from rattling, but honestly they're clamped in there so tight that I don't have to worry about it. I've got these carpeted boards at the bottom. There's 2 sections, I'll show you that in a second. That is kind of my bed stand up there, and this is my floor. This can be raised up to expand the bed size, which right now is just slightly below twin. So I hate twin beds, but honestly this is supposed to get me sleeping up off the ground. I don't want to be in a tent. I just want to be comfy. So I have this big foam mattress pad that I bought online. Had them make a mattress protector for it. I've learned some lessons. I don't know if I'd do this one exactly again, but I also got a second piece that's almost the same size that I can double this. I slipped this inside another, basically an oversized mattress bag right beside the next mattress, and it turns this into almost a double bed, which is pretty cool. You can sleep 2 people in here pretty comfy. Not a lot of headroom, but plenty of room to get around in there. The way I do that is by picking up these wooden plates, the floor, which I will demo. Okay, so like I said, these floor plates lift up and expand the surface for the bed. So this surface that the bed sits on, I have to crawl inside to show you. That wasn't very graceful, but so now I've got the back piece up there, just kind of like a nightstand that I can set my stuff on without having to put it on the floor. And it kind of gives me a little cubby to tuck stuff under behind there. Now lifting this board up will actually expand the entire bed, so I can put the next mattress section in and have a whole deck across the top. So this board just slips out and sits on these two rails, nice and sturdy. That actually stays in place while I'm driving too, so especially if you have the mattress on it, it actually keeps weight on there. And now I have storage underneath, which I have a rug runner. This is just a piece that I got from, I think it was Home Depot, cut off the roll, just to quiet things down. You know, stuff's not rattling up against my bed liner, which is Rhino liner, and keeps these boards from rattling around in there too. But now this board expands the bed size, so I'll show you that. Grab this. And we have a whole deck. So now if I put another mattress piece beside this, this turns into a double, and you can sleep two people or just one person in extreme comfort. I've actually doubled this up, thrown a double bed, sheets on here with a comforter, and it's super comfy. So come on inside. And this is what it looks like inside while I'm sitting in here. I've got my propane tank here. It's a little 5-pound propane tank. My heater vent, I'll go through that in a second. And the mattress. So now the mattress, if it's expanded, comes out to the edge of this board. So I can still get into my little hatch here and get into storage. I can still mess with my thermostat. It does reduce the head space in here. Basically, I can't sit up in here on top of the mattress. So by expanding the bed, you get more bed space, you get more room for comfort, but you don't get to set up. So there's a trade-off. You can get toppers that have an extra extended roof height. I didn't, one, find one, and two, I don't really want one. And look at that. It's snowing outside. It is, what is it? April 7th. And yeah, it's snowing. Go figure. At least I have a nice warm camper. Okay, perfect example. It's snowing now. I want to get inside here, and I want to be able to sit up and do what I want. So I'm just going to drop this floor back down. I'm going to leave that nightstand up there, and I'm going to get inside. So take my shoes off. I don't really want to get this all dirty. Put my shoes in here. Crawl inside. Grab the bed. Grab the lid. And now we're inside. It's a little dark. I do have a light up here, which batteries are entirely dead because I totally left that on while I was driving around, but typically this lights up the bed pretty well too. That was just built in. I want to put in some additional soft lighting in here. This is pretty bright, but you can light your bed any way you want. So this is what it looks like while I'm sitting in here. So now I can sit up entirely. I have headspace. Let me see if yeah, I've got headspace in here, and I'm sitting up fully. I can lean up against the bed, or what I usually do is I take this little nightstand. Like I said, this is just that extra section of the board, and I'll take it down, and I'll sit back here. This is where I'll eat. Kind of use this as a table. Sit up, I can work on my laptop, whatever I want. Around. See, I got plenty of room to get comfy. My sock's coming off. Get comfy in here. You could throw somebody in a sleeping bag down here and have plenty of room to sleep. I am 5'11" and about 180 to 185 pounds, so I'm a fairly small guy, but I'm not short. Not overly short. And I could sleep fully extended in here. This is a 6.5 foot bed. I can sleep catty corner on there with my toes pointed and stay warm. Plenty of room. Okay, now I'm up on the mattress. Note I can't sit up fully in this position, but I was going to show you what I do while I'm sleeping in here. So I have some storage space down there. I can just throw my stuff, throw my dirty clothes, whatever I want down there for the night. And if I want a nightstand, because I like to have water beside me, or you know, if I want to have snacks, I'll put my phone there while it's charging. Just pull up this section, and now I've got a nightstand, and I can tuck some junk underneath there. This is how it usually stays when it's just me. So underneath here is all my storage. I have 3 compartments. cut in around the wheel well. See the wheel well back there? These are just some junk piece of foam padding I put in there. So it's just a wooden bottom. Oop, that was loud. This storage spot here, it's got a step stool in it and plenty of room for extra storage. I put some little felt stickers there to keep it from closing and rattling too hard. Keeps it dead and down. This is that rail that's on both sides to hold up the floorboards so for the bed extension. And then at the front end is where I have my battery. So that is a gel cell battery, or actually, yeah, AGM battery. So that's a glass mat battery. It's got a little pocket back there for it to stay in, and I've got a charger built in. I don't want to take this battery in and out because they're heavy, so I just plug in right there to recharge this battery. This battery is for the heater. Get to it in just a second again. I have extra storage in here. So usually in this spot I have a whole bunch of window shades, which are actually in the truck right now. I'll point through the window. Those window shades in there, they are simply reflective bubble wrap type insulation with black fabric on one side. I put the black fabric outside so that way it doesn't look shiny and trashy. From the outside it just looks like this is blacked out, but I'll velcro those around all the windows, so just velcro them around there at night and it blacks it out, so it's basically a cave in here. There's no light. Girlfriend thought that was awfully dark. That's how I like to sleep. I'll block out all 4 windows. So you can change in here. If you sleep nude, you can sleep nude in here, whatever. Now, on the other side, I have more storage. The reason I made this long was so that I can throw my fly rods in there, my fly rod cases. So that way, I got, fishing gear right with me anytime. You notice I'm sitting cross-legged in here right now. Again, plenty of room for a guy my size. 2 people, it gets cramped, but this is primarily for me, and then if somebody wants to go along with, I just use it as a bed with storage underneath. But there's also a door that opens on the back side of here that kicks out. Open the bed. So this opens this way. So from the back of the truck, all I have to do to put a fly rod in there is open it up, slide it in, and you're good to go. So that's pretty handy. Now, snow's slowed down, so I'll leave this open for better light. All right, turning around again. So that's the whole setup. There's one more storage compartment back here, and it holds my heater. This is kind of the shining star of the entire build. Notice there is a PVC pipe that runs along the very back corner of the truck. That's to get power from the battery that I showed you to the heater. And there's a vent back there, which is the heater intake. So you can't block that. But notice, it's in the back, so none of that gets damaged or blocked. But that's the heater intake, and that's the heater output. And by heater, I mean it's actually a heat exchanger. Let me show you that. There we go. So all I did was unstrap this. This is just an old battery strap. I screwed these through the bed of the truck. I kind of wish I would have found a better way to do that, but I was rushed when I was putting this in. It was last minute. I was going camping the next day, and I screwed those through there, and I put goopy silicone on it. I kind of regret that. That's what you get when you're rushed. This is just a 5-pound standard propane tank, though, a little 90-degree regulator, and this flex hose that I had custom cut to size at a local farm store. Notice this vent for the output is cut around the door, so I have plenty of room for it to open. And this storage spot is used exclusively only for this heater. So this is a heat exchanger, which means that the combustion gas, so any of the propane and the exhaust fumes, never touch these ducts. Air comes in here into the box, gets pulled in through this port, gets heated, and then exhausted back out into the truck this way. The exhaust gases come in from the bottom of the truck and back out through the bottom of the truck. I drilled 2 holes in the bottom of the truck for those 2, I think they're 1.1/8 holes that went straight through the bottom. This is a Propex, I think it's a HS2000 heater. They're in high demand, they're hard to get. I think it's a European built thing. This is a US standard one. It uses standard propane. You could hook it up to a 20-pound tank. I guess you could hook it up to a 5-pound tank. This 5-pound tank will run this heater constantly on for approximately, I think it's 15 hours. And it's controlled with this thermostat. So let me show you that. Turn it on. Just push one button. It's showing me the current temperature right now is 45 degrees in here. And these adjust the set point temperature, which is set at 62. So now you can hear that air coming through, and that's just air from here, or actually it's open right now, coming through this port, and it's going to be heated up. Now in a second, this flame's actually going to ignite, and it'll change sound a little bit, and all that exhaust is coming out the bottom of the truck. Maybe I'll show you that exhaust here. Okay, I am going to make an attempt to show you where the exhaust for that heater inside is. So it's actually still running. Propane tank, exhaust vent, which is blowing nice hot air right now, thermostat. Again, all this air inside stays inside, and the exhaust comes outside underneath the truck. So this Propex has both an intake for outside air and an exhaust. And I'm going to show you up underneath here. Right there is the exhaust. You might be able to hear that. So intake runs way up here to the front of the truck, far away from the exhaust, which runs up underneath. And I'm happy to show you if you want more information, ask me, but I route it back there. So the exhaust points backwards, so while I'm driving it gets sucked away, and the intake points kind of forwards in a protected place so it doesn't ingest a whole bunch of dust and grit. I haven't had any problems with plugs so far, and you might be able to hear it. It's just a nice little low rumble. It almost sounds like a small car idling. Honestly, I can barely hear it when I'm this far away from the truck. So anyway, intake through the bottom of the truck from up front goes into the heater, heats the air through a heat exchanger, does not come in contact with the air inside the truck cap, and then the exhaust comes back out, all that hot exhaust, and it gets blown away. So you could put a Mr. Buddy heater in there, an open face propane heater, gasoline, diesel, whatever. I would not recommend that. In fact, don't do that unless you really know what you're doing and you're willing to accept the risk. Asphyxiation is a reality, is a real possibility that could happen in a setup like this, and it's not worth it. Even if you don't get harmed, like die from it, you might get harmed by just breathing the fumes. So a setup like this with a heat exchanger is the only way I'm going to heat this without it being electronic. And electric heaters, I looked into it, that battery in there won't run an electric blanket for very long at all. Electric blankets are not efficient. No electric heating is terribly efficient when running off of these batteries, enough so that I felt like it was going to be enough for me. That little propane tank will run me for 4 or 5 days. And I say 4 or 5 days, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours of sleep for 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the temperature outside. I can bring 2 of those tanks and I can get, 7, 8, 10 or more days, depending on the weather and how much this heater actually runs off of the propane. And all I have to do is maybe have a backup battery. All those like Goal Zero and Yeti and all those other battery packs, they're super expensive, and just an AGM battery will run longer than most of them. They have all those electronics built in. They're super expensive. This is a cheap way to do it. It's safe, and I can still use gas heat versus an electric heater or electric blanket or something like that. So I'm going to shut up about that now. This is what I recommend to look into. It's not super cheap, but I'm 100% convinced it was one of the best purchases I've ever made. Now, this thing will get hot. And by hot, I mean like that 60-degree set point right there, because heat kind of gets trapped up against this roof. While you're sitting up in here, it'll be 75, 80 degrees when it's 30 degrees outside. I actually stayed in here one night. It was 20 degrees out, and I slept in my underwear underneath a light comforter. Obviously I had the windows blocked out, but I was super comfy. This mattress pad, a blanket over top of me, and 80-degree temperatures while the wind was howling outside, and it was 20 degrees. It's awesome. Highly recommend it. This is not a super cheap purchase. You can look up Propex HS2000. It does take some installation. You do need a battery. The battery and the propane will both run for 15, 30 hours. I have a 100 amp hour battery in there, or 110 amp hour battery. I can go through how I sized all that, how I decided on this particular unit, how I installed it If anybody wants that, I have some photos, tell me, I'll make another video. But what I do when I'm going to camp and it's cold, actually the last time I did it was snowing, I pulled over on the side of the road about 15 or 20 minutes before I got to my destination. I opened up the window, I reached in, I turned on my propane tank, which is clamped right there, and I pushed that button to turn it on. And I shut the window again, and I drove for 15 or 20 minutes. I showed up at my destination, and it's already hot in here. So all I did was reach in, grab my sheets, which were right in there, threw my sheets on, threw a pillow up there, and went to bed. And I slept like a baby. Perfect. It's a perfect scenario. Without this heater, this is just like camping anywhere else. It's sealed up pretty well from dust, and it's really sealed well from moisture, but it's drafty. It's a truck bed. This is just standard truck bed steel. It's not insulated. This carpet isn't insulated super well either. The thing is though, this heater works pretty darn efficiently, and it'll keep this place nice and warm all night. In fact, if it's about 30 degrees outside, I can run this for probably 4 or 5 nights on one 5-pound propane tank. If I really want an extra propane tank, I can go 10. The limitation is the battery. The battery won't run it for, I don't think it'll run it for 10 days straight. So you might want another battery or a way to charge that. Would not recommend hooking it up to your truck, because if it drains your truck battery, then you're stuck there forever. So that's why I have a separate battery. So if you happen to be like me, who just wants to get out more often and really doesn't want to camp for the sake of camping, this is perfect. And when I say camp for the sake of camping, I love camping, but I like to camp for a purpose. If I hike to a mountain lake and I want to wake up in the morning and be at this mountain lake or by a stream or way out there, if I hike out 5 miles or even 2 miles and I want to camp, that's worth it because I can wake up where I want to be. If I'm just going to go to the lake, or I'm just going to go to the river where I can pull up and fish, and it's an hour away from home, I'm way more inclined to drive an hour home and stay on my comfy bed rather than set up a tent. Maybe it'll rain, I have to deal with the sleeping bag, maybe start a fire, maybe the fires aren't allowed at the time. Sometimes I just want to be close to where I'm at, and it would be awesome if there was just a hotel room or if I had an RV, but this now is my little mobile hotel room. This is where I stay. I still have all my camping gear, and I will go camping this summer way out in the middle of nowhere. But the thing is, I'm going to stay in this the night before. So I'll get off work, I'll drive 5 hours out into the mountains and park my truck, and then I'm going to start my hike 5 hours earlier from a nice comfy start. And then on the way back, if I get back late that night, I can stay in here again. So that's why I use this. If that's the kind of thing that interests you, some setup like this would be good. I think it works really well. It fits me. Okay, so that's the build. I know I talked a lot, but there's a whole lot more details to go into. There's all sorts of tweaks and adjustments that you can make to setups like this. I can talk about how I determined the height of the bed, how I constructed these, the actual construction, the materials I chose, the coatings I chose, why I chose them, the order that I did it, and how I planned it. If anybody's interested in any of this, let me know, drop a comment, tell me what you want to hear about, and I'll make videos. If I just made one video about it, it's going to be super long and I'll ramble on. Guide me to what you want to hear if you want to hear something. Topics that I think might be interesting, things that I looked up online that I got some inspiration on and I used to make my decisions. I could share how I did that. Things like that are sealing the truck, the topper to the bed of the truck, how I sealed up the tailgate. Those are tricky. I think I came up with some clever ways to do that, but it's particular to every truck. How I installed the roof racks, if that's interesting, that's super simple, but happy to talk about it. How I designed this, I actually modeled this in 3D software. I'm an engineer by trade or degree, and I like 3D visualization. I can show you the free software I used and how I did that. I can talk about the mattress. I can show you what I bring with me on a normal trip. That could be food, cookware, water, clothes. I can show you how I prepare for trips like this if you want. If any of that sounds interesting, I can also go over the limitations of it. challenge is the improvements I want to make. I'm rambling on. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to hear. If you want to hear more, I'm happy to make another video. Until then, thanks for watching. Hopefully this inspires you to do something, and I'm going to go fishing.